Here we go. Let's go. Here we go. Let's go potty. Go on. Whee! It's cold here in Indiana. Here, looks, but it's nice and warm inside here. And we'll see what we've got inside. Come on in. We've got chard and cabbages and celery and peppers on the top shelf, and we've got transplants of chard and nasturtium. Down on the bottom are onions, lots of onions and chives and lemongrass. Over here are the tomatoes. They're a little slow because they like it warmer, and it's just not warm enough yet. And then down below we've got zucchinis and cucumbers and beets started, and then on the bottom are some lettuces, peas. The peas there I'm growing for just the little ends. You like nip off the ends and eat them in salad and keep them growing. They're not gonna like grow up to be mature peas because those are out there in the garden. Okay, out here we have the herbal garden with chives and oregano and thyme and hyssop in the middle is hyssop. That's the big plant. Then there's some parsley and lemon balm coming up, some cilantro and dill coming up. Okay, and this is the strawberry bed, but back there in the corner you can see a couple stalks that have been cut off, and that was my elderberry bush, and I pruned it way back there against the fence, and it's already sprouting. And Tim and Julie and Sarah and Adam have elderberry starts, and I put some in the ground too to grow in other places, so we'll have lots of elderberries. And along here is where I planted my peas. There's a couple of them sprouted down there at the end. Some flowers coming up as well, so you need to watch where you're stepping, because there's lots of different flower bulbs in the ground out here. Out here are more flower bulbs where Doofus is walking. So that's why I made this little stone brick path so we don't walk on other stuff. But out here's the daffodils are starting to bloom, and other bulbs in the ground that are starting to come up. Excited about seeing green things coming out of the ground. Yay! Over here is the play set, which is quiet, but maybe we can get some action. Come on, Cozy. Come on up. Say, oh, you miss Amelia and Ruby up here, don't ya? There's nobody to play with up here, is there? Where are they? Where's Amelia? Come down here. Come on. See if they're down here. Are they down here? Come here. Do you see them? No? Oh, are they in the chairs? Oh, where's Amelia? Where's Ruby? Huh? Oh.
Maybe we should go see the chickens.
Let's go see the chickens, yes. Hi, ladies. Oh, hello, everybody. Bob, it's almost hard to tell the older ladies from the new ones because they're so big. Everybody's out right now. See, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. They're all here.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't come up with 10.
Well, that would have meant 2 were sitting on nests laying eggs.
Or maybe 2 got eaten by a vampire.
Hi, ladies. Hello. Hello. Ow. Did you get that?
Yeah.
You little scoots. I'll go get you some treats, okay? I'll go get you some treats. Yeah, I'll go get you some. Time for some treats. Here you go. Woohoo! Everybody gets a treat. Lots of breadcrumbs. Lots of happy chickens. Lots of happy breadcrumbs. Now we're in the big garden, and about the only thing coming up now is stuff that was planted that stays here. And back here, there are sticks around them, but we have some raspberries back here. I just planted last year. So these are the raspberries. You can see a little sprig there that's starting to bud. Here's some that's starting to bud. The rest of these are sticks just protecting them from our four-legged dog that likes to run through. There's a blueberry bush, and I don't see any buds on it. Maybe a few. Yeah, I think there's a few. They're really struggling. Here's a little bunch of onions, green onions, that are called bunching onions, and they just continually grow and spread. Another little blueberry bush. They're dwarf blueberry bushes, but they are having a hard time. Now this is my jostaberry bush. Lots of buds on it. I'm excited. Lots of buds. Hopefully we'll get some jostaberries. Here's the beehive box. Quiet, plugged up, secured, waiting for the bees to arrive in 10 days. Now down here, this is exciting. Here is my first asparagus shoot coming up. It's purple asparagus, and the first one is coming up. I'm so excited. There's 3 clumps through here, and they'll be coming up pretty good after a while. This is my new garden bench that Dad helped me make this last week, so I can sit out here. I can use it to put bee supplies on when I'm out here working the hive, or set trays when I'm putting those new plants in the ground. Watch Cozy bark at the neighbors. My black raspberry bush. There's one of my apple trees. This is my Honeycrisp tree, and it's got some baby buds, but it's still early. I pruned out some of the intermingling branches in January. Over here coming up, rhubarb. So it's going to be good this year. It's going to be a nice big plant. Here's a secondary plant that I planted last year that's starting to come up. There's my blackberry, like trying to grow all over the place. I have to cut it back because it tries to just grow everywhere. There's some garlic from last year that's coming up, and it'll be harvested later on this summer. And here I planted some peas that'll grow up on this trellis, and there's some blackberry pieces here that kind of help it get going once it starts coming up, but I just planted them this last week, so they haven't started yet. Over here is my goji berry bush, and you can see it's got lots of starts coming up, lots of little places that, I propagated it, so there's lots of it coming up all along here. Here's the main plant, and then some babies that I propagated, and they're taking off as well. And here's my other apple tree. It's a Gravenstein, and it's a bigger tree. I had to really cut the top of it off pretty good when I pruned it this winter because it was getting way too big. So I'm really hoping to have a few apples this year. I hope they are mature enough to bloom and put on some fruit. Stepping out of the garden, we're going to go over and show you my composter that I made for big stuff, and a lot of it is chicken litter. And that's right here. I made it out of pallets and used a piece of plywood to make the opening closed so it doesn't all fall out. There's all that wonderful chicken litter and old refuse from the garden. I started it last fall, and then I've been piling chicken litter and a few things that the chickens don't eat, like lemons and onions and coffee grounds. So hopefully later this summer it'll compost down enough. We'll have good compost for the garden and the flower beds. Well, that's all garden, isn't it? Watch your back step. There. Okay, that's my garden. And then here's my nice shed. It's kind of messy inside.
Well, let's go inside and look.
Okay. Hi. Welcome to my shed. It's kind of messy, like I said, because the straw gets all over the floor. You know, I could sweep it up every time, but then it just gets on the floor again. These are all my items of use for the garden, as well as over here is the honey box from the bees last year that didn't survive, waiting for the new bees. And I've kept it hidden from the sun so it doesn't get too warm. So when the new bees arrive, I can put that on my hive and they'll have lots of food to get started. And I've got canning jars stored up here. This is my solar light that Dad fixed up for me so that at night it comes on if I need to come out here and get things or put things away. And up above is lots of storage. Christmas decorations are up there, as well as bee supplies for the future. This section now right here is pretty well empty because that's where I keep all the flats that I start for the new plants. So there's just some big pots up there now. If you And here are tomato cages waiting for the tomatoes to come up. Yay! And this is my bucket that I used to scoop poop.
What?
Scoop poop from the chicken coop. And put
Scoop poop from the chicken coop?
Coop, yes. So straw for their nests, wood chips for the main part of the coop where they sleep, chicken feed to feed the little boogers, one of their favorite snacks. Yum yum. Cozy likes them too. So thank you. I hope you've enjoyed the tour of the backyard. We call it the pasture back here, the Landrum Pasture.